Hello listeners, welcome to my block-free blog post on Spike Lee's 2006 five-part documentary series entitled When the Levees Broke, which explores the devastating effect that Hurricane Katrina had on New Orleans and its civilians. This is a moment in social culture which highlighted the continual oppression and neglection of non-white Americans, which is still a prominent point of discussion culturally, politically, and in the media. I chose to use the platform of a podcast when reflecting on Spike Lee's portrayal of this disaster due to the delicate nature of the subject matter. Exploring how Lee showcases an urban city and its people's responses both individually and collectively through a non-white lens. Garth Alper states regarding Katrina, when Katrina hit and the levees were breached, Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives Dennis Hassert, Republican of Illinois, said, "It makes no sense to spend billions of dollars to rebuild a city that's 7 feet under sea level." This is evident of the opposition the civilians face and the disregard of New Orleans as a city worth saving. The footage used by Lee consists of interviews, first-hand accounts, and imagery of people prior, during, and after via media coverage. It soon becomes apparent that this city, so rich in culture, can be so poorly treated and neglected by the government, which they entrusted to protect them efficiently. As shown in 3 hours and 30 minutes in, a man states the work was bad, the work was by humans, indicating that this disaster is not all natural. I deemed it necessary to use my voice when exploring aspects of the documentary which resonated with me, as the subject matter is devastating but truly signifies the exploration of cities real and imagined. Due to Lee's documentary conveying notions of cultural unity in urban living and the impact a disaster of this scale can have on a city with such a rich culture, it thus drains the residents both physically and spiritually, as all these people are left with is the nostalgia of the once festive, bonded culture. As Alper states, if the African American community is not given the resources it needs to return, one of the greatest forces in America's cultural history will have been lost, which is a key theme of the documentary, the preservation of black culture. A key aspect in which the documentary communicates New Orleans as a landscape for cultural expression is through the marches and celebrations of music. The composer of the documentary, Terence Blanchard, who is used by Spike Lee in the majority of his films, exemplifies African American culture through the use of music. Music is utilized extraordinarily in both its representation of jazz and soul music as a foundation of the New Orleans culture, but also as a foundation of the storytelling that Spike aims to communicate as a part of the significance of the black culture as a part of New Orleans. By using symphonies which indicate the mood, whether somber or cheerful, Lee and Blanchard managed to perfectly evoke a response within the viewer. Arguably, this music resonates with you and parallels some disturbing and hard-to-watch imagery, and alternatively can be used to highlight the great moments of an urban approach in handling a disaster, in the ways that all the people came together without much help other than the Coast Guards. The music at times communicates what words cannot, specifically the shots of people and dead animals. Lee is arguably conveying that these images need no words, only music, or as a celebration of their lives, as highlighted as a significant part of New Orleans culture. If we listen in at 2 hours and 14 minutes, we see a magnitude of destruction through a montage, with the score playing over scenes of rubble, graves, and loss. Music is instrumental in creating the documentary and in the culture they are exploring. A scene from the documentary which stands out to me as indicative of the struggles the residents of New Orleans faced in displacement and the loss of their homes is the juxtaposition of the musicians losing their equipment and resorting to busking at 2 hours and 18 minutes. We can compare this to the joy we see through the music in the parades. These men are in another place, without joy and their community. This scene highlights the importance of music in New Orleans culture and the community, and its necessity in conveying the struggle in the aftermath. As Alper states regarding New Orleans musicians, John Otten, a long-time New Orleans pianist, owns the Rapidash Records, the oldest record company in New Orleans. He told me, "We're one of the few pockets left in the country that has held on to its music. We haven't been as homogenized as the rest of the country. This contributes to the understanding of New Orleans as a city of imagination. Unlike the crowds we have explored prior, Edgar Allan Poe's fiction and Mumford's Evaluation, New Orleans is not a city of anonymity. Rather, it is one of togetherness and expression, which welcomes all people of all races, uniting through music. If Spike Lee's documentary proves anything, the citizens of Katrina will persevere through spirit. This resonates with me specifically when seeing the impact of the disaster. Knowing I am viewing this through a white lens, Lee provides a space for the discussion around treatment of non-white people in situations like this. As Foster Blakes and Mackay states, although the viewer is given a chance to briefly step inside the survivor's world, we remain on the outside. However, one thing it's shown through is that the levees may have broke, but the strength, spirit, and unity of the community did not. As can be noted by the title, not only did the levee system fail due to the storm on August 29, 2005, but so too did the perception and treatment of its citizens, in turn creating a road for conversation about the mistreatment and neglect of non-white or lower-class citizens in America, specifically as showcased by the documentary Black Americans. I believe this is such an important subject to explore, especially in today's cultural climate. With the rise of social media and the ability to connect with others in seconds, and everyday people having access to documentary equipment in their smartphones, more people are being exposed to the mistreatment of Black people in America. The Black Lives Matter movement has been necessary for generations and will continue to be. As the authors of Why Did You Choose to Stay states, to say that this documentary of historical proportions is not hyperbole. Because we live in an age when television media news cycles dictate collective memories of events, no matter how monumental and catastrophic events might be, documentary films that capture and bear witness to unvarnished realities of devastation, triumph, or even everyday take on special importance. Showcasing the significance of the media and creating a narrative which can have negative effects on the non-white community, and the necessity of this documentary by Lee in exploring Black culture.